So good morning, friends, and thank you very much for being here with us this morning. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and especially with these lovely ladies. They say a thing of beauty is a joy forever, and here we are amidst two lovely ladies. Clap, clap, clap. Thank you so much for coming and for your time. Without much ado, let us begin, as we all are eager to listen to them, right? Right. So Shaine, ma'am, multiple beauty pageant winner, designer, and a fashion stylist. You shine so bright that they can't deny or miss you. So please let us hear from you. What is your story?
First of all, thank you so much, everybody, for making time and coming here, and thank you for calling us here. So my story is it's as simple as any girl who's born with the dream of being a beauty queen. So but a little different with a little twist. So I was born a boy, like a male. My gender at my birth was given a boy, but then not that while growing up I felt ever like a boy. So when I grew up to be a person that looked up to her mom as an inspiration always. So my mom was working with Ministry of Transport as an officer. So I saw her always working really hard and making a life for us, for the whole family, and she became my biggest inspiration. And with the time, I realized that, not I realized, people made me realize, they kept hammering it in my head that, okay, you are not supposed to behave in a certain way because, you are a boy or you are, born like that. So what was, but behave like being a little effeminate or having a body language of, opposite sex. So, but I denied at that age also that, okay, this is something that I would not accept, and it is my life, and I will go by what I feel from within me. I was about 11, 12 years old that time. Yeah, because, the feeling I started having, see, as a child, I didn't know what was the difference between the both. What is a male and what is a female, because we all we don't talk, especially in Indian setup, Indian family setup, we don't talk about sex very openly. So eventually, when I realized that, okay, which people made me realize that, okay, there's something wrong with you. There also I denied that, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. It's the way you look at me is wrong. I know myself more than anybody else. So that's a nice line. The way you look at me is wrong. So eventually, I went ahead and I led my life the way I wanted. And I've always been very inspired by the beauty pageants since a very tender age, because I remember in 1994 when Sushmita Sen and Aishwarya Rai won their respective international pageants. That's when I think pageants got really glorified in India. And 90s has been, like, I think one of the most glorious years for pageant scene. And eventually, when I went to NIFT, it gave me a wider perspective of fashion industry, and it gave me a better vision on how people look at pageants also, because we had a lot of Miss Indias from our college. Nikita Anand was she was a Femina Miss India Universe in, I think, 2004. And she was from NIFT. So, we always had this pageant going all around the, college. And in fact, I went ahead and I participated in a lot of pageants which used to happen, in the college premises. So that's how I got the hang of it. And eventually, after, working all across the globe, I came back and I started my pageant journey in 2012, where I officially became a groomer for Mrs. India Worldwide. In 2012, and since then I've been grooming a lot of pageant aspirants. There are a lot of Miss Indias I've trained who have represented India internationally, Mr. Indias as well, and I've been on panel with Ruburu Mr. India. And last year there was something which happened which really changed my life a lot, because let me tell you a little more here, that not many people knew about me. Knew as in, like, not many people knew that I'm a trans girl. So it was back in 2017 when Reena Rai, Mrs. Reena Rai, she is the founder, director of Miss Transqueen India. She started in Miss Transqueen India pageant in 2017, and I was the official groomer and the show director for the same. But last year, due to pandemic, we could not conduct on-ground pageant. So with the whole panel, like, the whole, the panel that has been on board with Miss Transqueen India, they thought that I will be the right choice to represent India internationally, because they didn't want to leave that gap of not having a candidate representing India. That's when in 20th of December last year I was crowned Miss Transqueen India, and I've been living up to the title till now, and looking forward to represent our country wonderfully at Miss International Queen, which is going to be held in Thailand next year.
That was very, very interesting, and we were hoping to be more gripped with you, but we'd like Anvita also, and we come back to you again, Shaine, right? Yeah? Okay. Anvita Sudarshan, author, actor, filmmaker. Multifaceted Anvita has a lot indeed to share with us. She has acted in and directed movies and has been in TV shows. And ladies and gentlemen, she too has won many beauty pageants. Your book, Beauty Queen, The Pathway of Pageantry, was one of the best-selling books in 2021. Clap, clap, clap. So first, Anvita, let's hear about your journey to be a model and a beauty queen.
The journey, it actually starts when I was a kid, because like she said, 94 was the year when, can you hear me? Yeah, it's all good, okay. So 94 was the year when Sushmita Sen and Aishwarya Rai won. And I was a little kid at the time. I remember watching it on TV, in fact. I think that one moment shaped the psyche of a lot of 90s kids. Not just that one moment, but the moments that came after that as well, with Diana Hayden and Yukta Mukhi and Priyanka Chopra, Lara Datta. We had a lot of winners in the 90s, and that did shape a lot of my mind. But the way I grew up, it had nothing to do with pageants. It had nothing to do with any of that. My parents were in the UN, so we used to move around quite a bit. We're in the UN, so we used to move around quite a bit. The focus was always academics and things like that. Then when I was 16, I was introduced to the stage. I did my A-levels in drama and theatre studies. And that's when I entered the world of drama and acting. And it enamored me in a way that not a lot of things had enamored me before that. So I thought when I was 18, instead of going to university like what was expected, I decided to take a jump and move to Bombay. I don't know whether that was foolish or whether that was courageous, but it was what it was. Yes, it worked. So when I moved to Bombay, the whole pageant scene came back in my life. It wasn't a conscious decision. It was just something, okay, you're trying to get into the world of acting, so you do modeling. You take this path. It was one of those things. But then I did Femina in 2010, and the whole thing came back. The whole fascination came back again. And it troubled me that I couldn't crack that code. I knew I could do it, but I couldn't do it. I wasn't placing. Then I did I Am She the next year in 2011, and I still couldn't do it, and I didn't know what was happening. So I took a year off, just sat at home and started preparing. And that's when I realized that there's actually not a lot of resource material if you want to prepare yourself for pageants. There's very little out there. There's a lot of stuff on the internet, but not a lot of it is relevant to what you really want to do. And writing was something I always did. So that was always there in my mind, that perhaps I can do something. I can do something with this. I can take it forward. But that wasn't the focus at that point, because then Miss India Kuwait came forward. Miss India Kuwait was a very fledgling pageant at the time. So again, like Shaine, it was a panel that chose me to be Miss India Kuwait. But then came my first international pageant, and Miss India Worldwide in 2012. It was held in Suriname, in South America. And that was, I took 6 months again to prepare for the whole thing. I put my heart and soul into it, discovered a lot of things. And by the end of it, I had cracked the code. I knew what I was doing. So I wanted to document that because there are so many people, girls and boys, who are going down the same road. And it helps to have something to hold on to on the way.
Someone can relate to as well. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's the pageant journey. And the pageant journey ended there, to be honest. Because I remember the day Miss India Worldwide happened, the day I won the first runner-up crown, I remember thinking that, okay, now I cracked this, so now I can move on.
So did you have the same
Expressions.
that famous
I didn't.
moment?
I didn't expect to have it, but I do remember going into a namaskar. And I remember being surprised that I went like that.
It's very momentary. That
It's-
expression comes very, I think that comes at the moment.
It does,
You know,
it does.
I look forward to do that too myself.
It's the crowning glory, literally.
Yes, absolutely.
And though part of you expects it, you still don't expect it. So it's always a surprise.
I always wonder when these beauty queens are getting the crown or waiting for that moment, what must be going through your minds? The tension, the anxiety. Is it?
Well, the final 5 that we had a common question answer round, which is the norm in a lot of pageants. You have a common question, you write down the answer, or you put in a soundproof booth. But we had to write the answer down. And I don't remember what the question was. I don't remember what the answer was either. But I do remember that they went from right to left, listening to all the answers.
Okay.
And Australia was right beside me. She gave her answer, and it was very identical to the answer I had penned down. Even the wording was so similar. It terrified me in that moment. So, and I did consider changing my answer, but you can't do that at that moment because you penned it down. So I gave my answer, and then came Guyana. She gave her answer, which was very long, which was very eloquent. It was very different, but it was very well put. Then the 2 others, UK and I think Suriname, came and they gave their answers, which unfortunately weren't that great. So in that moment, you know who's going to place how. You knew that, okay, Guyana is going to win, and Australia and I are going to be runners-up. We don't know in which order, but because of the similarity of answer, you know it's going to happen that way.
So I have a common question. I think a lot of youngsters so was I. We're always awestruck by the glamour world, right? And at some point of time, we think, why can't we take part? Or how does this work? I know that you need a mentor to guide you. What are the financial implications? Because a lot of money must be going in grooming you, training you, your outfits. The outfits are so expensive. So what happens? Do you all get sponsored?
Okay. I would say yes, definitely there is a lot that goes in, in the whole preparation process. But you need to be smart. I think more than anything, one needs to be smart and you need to be resourceful. I think that is a part of the training process where you should know how to pull out the right things that you want. Of course, the wardrobe is something which really matters a lot. Because I think wardrobe is something that reflects a lot about your personality. It tells a lot about who you are as a person. So for that, you need to be very smart in terms of getting it sponsored, because there are designers, there are people who are ready to support you, and especially when you are going internationally to represent your country, you get a whole list of things that you need to carry with you. So makeup, the kind of hair you're going to do, the kind of accessories, everything that you carry with you. But, you need to be very smart in getting all these things together. See, everything should not be off brands. People usually get very conscious about, okay, the other girls might be wearing very, they might be wearing these famous designers and all. You should know that whatever you're wearing, you're doing the best to it. And this was taught to me at a very early age when I went for my orientation at NIFT, that, they told us you should know how to turn garbage into gold. So I've always kept it in my mind, even if I'm wearing rug, it's my personality that should shine through. See, there are a lot of times we see, there are girls who wearing best of their gowns, but they still can't make it to, top five, or, they don't win. And somebody who's wearing something very simple shines through more. It's about your personality at the end of the day. What you wear and what you carry is more to do with your personality. So, it's not the gown you wear, it's the gown who wears you.
So, I still again have a question for you, that today you stand as a very important, stylish, and a well known member of your community, per se. What I would like to ask you, that what were your struggles and where did you find your support? Because we all know that today in India, even now, it is not very easy. So, question to you is that how did you break your shackles? How did you go about this whole journey?
Okay, honestly, there's always a saying that I wanted to break through the walls and the roof. I never felt there was a wall or a roof. Okay. I never had that. First of all, this question was asked even when my crowning happened and there was a press conference. So one of the journalists asked, tell us about your struggles. I said my struggle was as good as your struggle, because I never took it so hard on myself. I always had this mercy for my own self, because I felt that I will feel different only when I will feel different. It's not people who are going to make me feel different. It's only me who's going to make me feel different. So I struggled as any other kid would struggle. Like, I was studying. I was doing really well in my my college, my school, my studies, everywhere. And trust me, I never knew that it's going to be inspiring for somebody else. So I was just living my life the way I wanted. It is just when I got crowned, and when I actually saw a lot of trans girls, a lot of people, who wanted to seek help, who looked up to me and who said that, okay, if you have done it, then, it gave a hope to them. So that made me feel that, okay, my struggles were, at some point worth.
I'm going to intervene you here, sorry. I want to understand, you said that you did not have any struggles because in your mind, you were okay. There's nothing, no different. But when a person I know who's going through this, he's coping with his own inner struggle and the parental support and the friend circle. I have been told they ridicule you. So you're a little conscious that what the hell is going on.
Absolutely.
So you had your parental support, your friends?
Not really at all. I moved out of my house when I was 17-year-old. I moved out not because of any other reason. I moved out because I thought it is going to be my life, and it is something which I have decided for myself, and I don't want my parents to go through anything because of me. Coming from a very simple background, I thought my parents were, I come from working class, so both my parents were, working, and they were very simple. And nothing to do with any fancy fashion or entertainment business. So I thought, if I want something and I'm so determined to get it, so it's my struggle to achieve that. I moved out of my house at the age of 17. Of course, my parents supported me through my education, but then there were a lot of other expenses because I was I rented out a space for myself. So I used to work 6 hours after my college in McDonald's. So I used to work there in McDonald's. That would fetch me, that time I remember, in 2007, 6-7, I would fetch 8,000 rupees a month for 6-hour job, 5 days a week. And that made a lot of, it would pay my rent where I was living. And similarly, if I start talking about these kind of struggles, I struggled a lot. In fact, I didn't know how to go about the whole transformation process. So the transformation process started, and when I actually started getting the knowledge, it was very expensive, to afford. So I thought, it is just my education that can help me to get a job and live my dream that I wanted to. So I worked really hard, and fortunately, God was kind, and it just gave me a path. In 2010, I auditioned. No, this is in Delhi. This is in Delhi? Delhi, yes. And in 2009, I remember I was in my seventh semester college, and there was this one small on some a small a small what do you say, like a poster kind of thing I saw on a notice board, which said that there was a design competition happening. So you need to just send your sketch entries. So I designed something very unique, and they had a theme to it. So I sent the entry, and I was the only student selected for the final auditions, where you had to create that garment. And I went through the audition, and I made through the top 15 designers of India that year. And then, I happened to win the reality show on Zoom TV. It was called Let's Design Season 2.
I'm again going to intervene. So when you were on a path upwards to success, did the parental acceptance come in?
See, I always felt my mother had a very strong acceptance from within, but it wasn't coming across because of the societal pressure. Because you live under, you see, when you are surrounded by people, you tend to get a little more my mother was very strong any which way, like she's been always very strong. But I think the whole story changed about 2.5 3 years back, when they actually saw me so determined. My mother always feared that she as a mother, she feared that how people are going to receive it, and it's going to make my life tough or my life more difficult. But when she saw me sailing through everything so smoothly, then she started believing in me. And then
I have a question to you, but I'll come back to you again. We'd like to hear from Anvita. And basically, I want to know, are you not talking about your father? But we'll come back to that later. I can see your mother's influence in your life has been very strong, and she's been your role model. Right. So, Anvita, the beauty queen, the author, the actor, which resonates the most with you and why? I thought we all have a role plenty chalked out for individuals like us here. But in your case, you have plenty. So many genres you've touched upon, right? So how did this happen, and was it easy? So to make my question short again, I'm asking her that which role does she identify herself with the most, and how was it that she came along so much and so many? Because the youngsters here know how difficult it is, that whether we want to be an author or an actor or a producer or a director or a beauty queen. And here you've done it all. Please go ahead.
I think the role of the beauty queen is pretty much over. The role of the beauty queen is pretty much over. That's in the past. The role of the author is just beginning, and it's a role that I'm enjoying a lot. The actor is also pretty much over, because my fascination with that field is not there as much as it was 10 years ago.
Asur, right? No,
Asur, yes.
Asur, you have seen it. Nice. Which channel? Which channel? Don't remember.
I keep forgetting. It's not on Netflix.
It was a Netflix.
No. It wasn't Netflix. It was something else.
A web series.
Woot, yes. It was on Woot.
Yeah, you've seen it. Okay. What? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And my lack of knowledge in knowing where it is tells you how much it's over.
So the beauty queen bit is already on its way out, and you said the acting bit, the fascination is on its way out.
Yes. And
Now?
I'm not based in Bombay anymore, so that's also, obviously, that takes its course. There are other roles that are coming into play. I run a bookstore now, and I'm getting into organic farming. I run a bookstore.
A bookstore? Okay. In which city?
In Mysore.
In Mysore. Okay.
Yes. And the whole world of rare and used books is slowly calling. So I guess that's life. You just stay open to it, and it keeps changing. And I've been very lucky that way, to be very honest. I've had a very good journey so far. Yeah.
Okay. So I have a common question to both of you, which I am today 56 years old, and I still identify with so many of you. I still am dewy-eyed about life ahead, and we've also gone through the various expectations of us at various ages and stages of our lives, right? What is beautiful? what is gorgeous. But I'm happy to say that today we are not judged and marked by just our physical appearance. Today, the other day I had a talk where I said that even our grandmothers are gorgeous. The wrinkles on their face show their beauty. So we don't have to look stunning to be beautiful. We are beautiful, period. So that for me is a huge thing, okay? So having said that, my question to you is that what has been the evolution of beauty standards? Because when I was a young girl, you just had to look very pretty and gorgeous. When I was going to college, it became a little bit of cerebral. And when I become a little older, now it is a whole package deal. So please advise and guide and tell us that has been the evolution of the beauty standards?
So, beauty actually, the way I see it, can be judged on two levels. One is the absolutely biological level, which doesn't change much. We're hardwired to see certain faces as beautiful, we're hardwired to see certain figures as beautiful. That is there in us, that you can't do much about. There are certain symmetrical proportions that we innately find beautiful. But at the same time, there's a huge, we do live in something that we call a civilization. And that does affect how we see things quite a lot. So, looking at the last 50 years, to put it in a tiny nutshell, we've been living in a world that has been increasingly globalized. And we've been kicking and screaming against it for a lot of it. And that does show in how we perceive beauty. This is one point Shaine was making a little while earlier. Miss Universe last year doesn't fit your ideal proportions of beauty standards. Her hair, very specifically speaking, everything else does fit, but it's just the hair, to be very honest. Before this, we just talking about Miss Universe, we just had one lady of African descent that I remember about who had won Miss Universe. This was perhaps 2011-12 sometime, who was Leela Lopes. And sorry?
Laila Lopez, yes.
Yes, Laila Lopez. Sorry about my mispronunciation. And she did fit the Caucasian beauty standards quite a lot. If you go further back in history, in the 60s, you had Miss Philippines, Gloria Diaz. Again, she doesn't look as Filipino as she looks Caucasian. That is a trend that we've been seeing, that we're slowly seeing change. And it's weird because in the last 20 years, what I have been noticing is not so much Caucasian as South American. Even when yes. And this is primarily in the last 20 years that I've been seeing it. Even when you have Indian delegates go to international pageants, we're constantly picking contestants, especially in the last 10 years, who look more South American than Indian. Even the physique. We're going for the South American physiques rather than the Indian physiques. So yes, we are catering to a very stereotypical
international beauty standards. But I also see it in a way where we've come a long way, where the typical beauty that you expect out of a beauty queen, or you look at a Miss India or a Miss World or Miss Universe, that has been changing over the years. And I think one of the biggest revolution in the beauty industry was when in 2012, Miss Universe opened to the trans candidates. And in 2018, the first trans participant was from Spain, who walked the ramp for the very first time. And I think that becomes that gives you a huge spectrum to look at when it comes to beauty. And also, I believe that in last couple of years, people have actually started looking beyond. We would always look up to it as a motto, or this always been a saying that you look beyond caste, creed, color. But it actually started happening in past 4-5 years, that you see a huge change where people of color were given importance, people of color were given their rightful place. So I think that evolution of beauty in the whole pageant business has really made a huge impact.
So would you like to say something on this, Anvita?
I just wanted to add to that. In fact, in 2007, Miss Tanzania had a shaved head, and she did make it to the top 10 of Miss Universe.
Yeah, so that just says a lot, that how even we are changing intellectually.
This year, if you actually see, Miss World is happening at the moment in Puerto Rico, and Miss South Africa, who's gone, she's bald. She's bald, but she's beautiful, and she's one of the front runners. So you see the kind of evolution that has happened in beauty. And let me add, I would really want to add here that, when I got the copy of the book that she's written, the first thing that I was in fact mentioning it in the car as well while coming here, the first thing that I opened, the very first topic was the history of pageants. So that book is not only for pageantry, that of course, it is focused on pageant, but today, even if you talk about, you go for a corporate job, or you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, you need to be presentable, I believe. Everywhere, you need to know what suits you the best. I think we live in a world which is visual, and visual appeal really, it fascinates people. It gives you a little more edge over others. So I think it is very important to, for me, I think everyone here should at least go through once the book that she's written.
Sorry for interrupting, but to relate to them, it's so important. We tell them in college environment that it's so important not just to dress fantastically, but to dress correct and to dress well, because the way I'm looking at you, your body language, your clothes don't have to be branded. It just has to be correct to project an image that you want us to perceive you. Right?
Absolutely. See, I always believe that style is something, you communicate without speaking. When you walk into a room, even for your any kind of interview or an audition or anything, I think everybody in their head, they seek something that they want to do for themselves in life. And for that, you need to be extremely presentable. You need to have, it just gives you a little more, it gives you an edge over others. You stand out of the crowd. So that's very important. So I was just saying that her book, what I really liked about her book was that, the very first chapter says about history of pageants. So a lot of people that I have personally groomed, when they come, they're like, ma'am, okay, I always start my session with, you should know what you're getting into. And pageants usually are perceived in a very wrong way. People think, okay, it's only about glamour, it's only about modeling, acting. But I think pageants to me it's a platform that gives you chance to speak, and people will hear you. People will hear you. There are a lot of things we, as students, as as even a general, public, there are a lot of thoughts that come across as your mind. There are a lot of things that you keep thinking, but you do not know how to communicate. So pageants are the platform which helps you communicate those thoughts, and to tell that. And trust me, earlier, before having the title, I had a lot of things in my mind. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, but I didn't know where, how. But the moment I had the crown and the sash on me, everybody was sitting and listening. And that's when I realized the power of having that sash and the crown.
Okay, I'll take a break here. Before I ask the gorgeous ladies a winding question, I would request anybody from the audience, do you have any questions to address to them, please? Feel free. Yes, sir. We'll go with the gentleman there.
I just wanted to ask you a question, ma'am, that one of the poets, I don't remember, he said, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Now, since you are all international, can you just tell us something about beauty? What is beauty? How to perceive it? And some thoughts on beauty.
It was Plato who said that, I believe.
I don't remember actually. Yeah. Not Keats or Plato or somebody.
Yeah. That's a very loaded question. It would take about 300 pages to expound on that, to be very honest. But beauty, to a large extent, does lie in the eye of the beholder, but to a large extent also doesn't. There was Darwin had proposed this theory back when he was proposing the theory of evolution, called the theory of aesthetic selection, which basically propounds a very interesting thought that we are hardwired to perceive certain things as beauty, certain proportions of the human body and of the human face as beautiful. This, especially when it comes to the physical characteristics of the body. For example, when it comes to women, you're talking about a waist to hip ratio that we are hardwired to perceive as beautiful. And that is solely to propagate the human race further. So if you're looking at that, I would say, no, it's definitely not in the eyes of the beholder. But at the same time, we are individuals. And we do have very specific preferences about what we like, what we don't like. And to a large extent, that's also conditioned. So if you're talking about what you've been conditioned to find as beautiful, for example, large eyes or straight hair or curly hair, again, I would say that's not in the eye of the beholder, that's in your mind, that's your conditioning. But there is still a level that we do innately as individuals prefer. We do have certain preferences, and that to that extent, yes, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But that's a very, very small extent, to be very honest. Would you like to add to that?
So I think beauty is what, as the statement says, beauty lies in the eyes of beholder. What you see is beautiful, I believe. Your eyes, it's you who decides what beautiful is. And to me, what I feel about myself is what I see here. So if I see beauty in everybody sitting here, I feel beautiful about myself. So it's what I reflect is what I get. So I think beauty is, it's, as she said, there can be a huge, a set of papers you need to write things on beauty. And this was one of the questions which was asked to Lara Datta at the national competition at Miss India. Like, what is, I think Wahida Rahman, she asked her question, is it difficult to be a beautiful person? And, she answered that, I think it's not that difficult to be a beautiful person, because if you believe in the beauty of your dreams, and if you're determined to achieve your dreams, I think that in itself makes you the most beautiful person. So I think beauty is something which is very individual, and how you see it and how you perceive it.
So I just like to add what they have said in a very simplified way. Like, there are a lot of these beautiful women who go and marry by the per se perceived standards of the society. The boy may not be that good looking, but the girl's in love with him and she's marrying him. So to her, he's gorgeous, he's handsome, right? We wonder sometimes, why is this good looking girl marrying a guy who's not that handsome by the society definitions? So that's one thing. And second is, sadly, even now, when we go in for an arranged match, we still look out for the right clicks. Tall, handsome.
It's just that how society has, we've just put ourselves into brackets. Yes. We need to release ourselves. We need to release these, words and these standards that we've created for ourselves as a society. I think we need to release these things out of, ourselves, I think.
In short, that has to change. You are Gen Next. We need your support, your cooperation, and your understanding. In short, when you go to choose a life partner, do not judge him or her by that. Okay? Sir.
Hi Anvita, hi Shaine. I hope you guys are having a lovely time here in Nagpur. It's lovely to have you. First of all, let me say I think both of your journey have been like really inspiring. I just wanted to ask you, you have both have had your share of pageantry. You have both have been winners. You have always, also been involved in grooming young people to go into the same field. Now, from what I have seen, and I have seen multiple shows like that, talent shows and pageants and stuff like that, I think along with all the grooming, a lot of mental strength goes into it. And I see kids that, there's so much pressure, everybody wants to win. And when so much preparation goes into it, when they don't finally make it, they don't really feel good about it, and they may be disheartened not to continue with their dreams later. So I just wanted to ask both of you, what kind of mental strength goes into competitions like this, and of course, I think that will answer a lot of questions related to these kids as well when they go into some other competitions. So, and if you don't win, how do you cope up with that loss? Thank you.
That's a very good question. I always believe that, failures are the best teachers. And when you prepare yourself for any kind of competition, be it pageant, be it any kind of, maybe a singing competition, a dancing competition, I think we were talking a while back that, your mental, your physical, and your spiritual attributes have to be aligned. So it just sounds very easy to say, but it is very difficult to achieve. But to failures, I would always say, whenever you as a participant, whenever you prepare yourself for any kind of competition, you need to be prepared for for any kind of failure. You need to be prepared mentally for any kind of setback. See, I'll tell you what. To me personally, I believe that there's nobody who lose. Even if you lose in the competition, but understand the very fact that how you entered the competition and how you coming out of the competition, you'll see a massive change in yourself. And then that in itself is a victory. How you go as a person to a competition and how you come out. So that, I think that one small image of you yourself can really change a lot. And, it can help you achieve, if you think that what I was yesterday, and now after the competition, what I have become, that journey, if that little journey can change me so much, what if I actually put in a little more to it? And what, I get out of it, I think it's going to be more glorious. So I believe always that, nobody lose as such. It's just how you look at things, how you perceive. And I think, to me, everybody who, makes an effort or gives himself or herself a chance to be, visible, in whatever field they want to, I think that in itself is a victory for me.
Just to add to that, failure is a very important part, to be very honest. When you fail, that's when you look at things and look at what's working, what's not working. That's when you start analyzing. That's when you start thinking. If you don't fail, you would never do that. You just keep riding the wave. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it doesn't teach you anything. You don't move. You don't evolve as a person. You don't pay any attention to the person that you are or the way you think or anything that you might be doing that might not be working in a certain way that you want it to work in. So failure kind of takes you back. It centers you. It helps you move forward. But that's about all that I have to add for that.
I just want to know very quickly and very briefly your message as you stand as two very powerful, popular, and important role models for the Gen Next. Very briefly, please, as I think we're out of time. So just your message.
I think my message would be just be yourself. And it is very important to embrace who you are as a person. And, you don't have to look up to anybody else. Be it, whoever you are, just be a better version of yourself each day. And just keep adding to it. I think that's my message to the Gen X.
I'm going to add a twist to that, because whenever I try to be myself, I've discovered that the person that I was yesterday is not the person I am today. I can't be myself. I can only discover myself, and I can only be open to that.
Subscribe to Nation Next YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get regular updates from Nation Next. Also like Nation Next Facebook page and follow us on Instagram and Twitter.